All right, Terrence here, back from Draft Theory headquarters. About to jump in this new draft again. Got the 10th pick. It's going to start up in about 30 seconds here. I just wanted to show off this best ball playoff matchup tool that I made and created for you guys to use for free. You can click it in the description. You don't have to download it if you don't want to, but if you do download it, you get it in this really cool format that I have it. All right. So let's hurry up and get over here. Draft's about to start right now. 2 seconds. We'll see if we're going to get Gibbs and Robinson like usual, or if someone's going to do something crazy. Now, one of the first things I like to do when I come to a new draft is just to check out who is in a draft with me, see if anyone has any names that give away the rooting interest, and also check out their experience badges. This guy, let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys in this draft who don't have the full experience badge. That means that they haven't played that many contests. It's really not hard to get that full experience badge. I think you have to win like $2,500, and I don't remember how many contests you have to enter. It's really not that many, maybe 500 or 1,000 or something, and you just have to win $2,500 once. So if you've never won $2,500, it doesn't mean you have no chance to win, but it means you have a little bit less experience than some of the other people in the draft, and hopefully we can expose you. All right. So now let's check out this draft board. It's going pretty quick. Gibbs and Robinson, Chase, Puka, JSN. No surprises at all just yet. Now, I haven't done a draft in like almost a week now. I've been working behind the scenes on some bigger football research projects that are going to connect a lot of stuff together with EPA and best ball, advanced stats, all kinds of stuff. I've got a lot more tools coming for you guys. I don't know if you know this or not, or if I've mentioned it in too many videos before, but before best ball was my main job. I mean, best ball is my main job. And before that, I used to be a process engineer in nanotechnology. So I've got a little bit of engineer brain. So these tools that I'm working on for you guys, be excited about them. I'm gonna help you win. Hopefully I'm gonna help myself win. But you know what? Either myself or someone who watches my videos, or both, is going to win some gigantic prizes this year, thanks to my tools that I am developing. You guys are really going to love them. I'm not really ready to fully announce everything yet, but some useful stuff is coming, let me tell you. All right, we're about to be on the clock. Let's see who we have here. And there goes James Cook, who I was thinking about snatching upon first look. Let's see here. Let's just grab CeeDee Lamb. I don't have a ton of exposure to CeeDee Lamb yet, and he is a beast, of course. You cannot fade CeeDee Lamb. I don't care if George Pickens is there or not. I'm going to have to grab a running back here in the second round, almost without a doubt. I do not like to start double wide receivers so often this year. That's been a strategy that I liked a lot. It worked pretty well 2 years ago, not so much last year. And you know what? I don't expect it to be the best strategy this year either. Of course, I will be building some teams like that, but it really has to do with the value at the back end of the draft. I just think that there's a lot more wide receivers who are going to come out of nowhere and really contribute big time to best ball this year as compared to the running backs. Of course, there's going to be a couple at least, but there's just many more wide receivers with a chance to make a big difference in best ball this year as compared to running backs. I said wide receivers, right? Later, there's a lot of rookie wide receivers and emerging second year, third year wide receivers who everyone isn't so high on. Let's see here. So I really like Kenneth Walker to have a big year in Kansas City, but I do not expect him to outperform Chase Brown. And even though it looks like I have Kenneth Walker ranked 15 and I had Chase Brown ranked 16, I literally just updated my rankings. So obviously I was thinking a little bit different earlier in the day today, but things change. Even my frame of mind with no new news, I could you don't want to take either one of those guys 100% of the time. If Chase Brown and Walker are both available, you feel like you need a running back, do not make a hard stance on that one. in my opinion, Chase Brown probably has a little bit higher upside. Kansas City might have some issues. Mahomes had that knee injury late in the season, and that could just kind of throttle back the firepower of Kansas City this year. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe it means they run on they lean on the run game a little bit more. But also, maybe that means that defenses know that they're going to have to lean on the running game a little bit more, and they start stacking the box, and and they're really not so afraid of Mahomes beating them deep. That could be a possibility. It's also a possibility that Walker just absolutely destroys and is a top 5 running back this year. So I'm definitely not fading either guy. I think I have similar exposure to those two guys. As of right now, they're not my favorite guys in the first couple of rounds. But, if I don't take a running back in the first round, there's a few guys, Chase Brown, Kenneth Walker, or, Kyren Williams are some guys that I like to try to make sure that I get to cover my bases and make sure that I have a solid floor and potential ceiling in my running back spot every week. I tend to I want at least a few high-end wide receivers, without a doubt, but I tend to try to stack them up a little bit later in drafts this year, most of the time. Now, we've taken Dallas and Cincinnati. I know Cincinnati plays against the Ravens in Week 17, and the Cowboys play against the Giants. Cowboys and Giants is in a dome. Ravens and Bengals is a historically high-scoring matchup. It's even in the late season when it's cold in both of those places. They are putting up big scores on a regular basis. Two of the top 10 highest scoring games in the best ball playoff weeks, 15, 16, and 17, have been between those two teams. 2 of the 10, that's not bad. Over the last 10 years, not forever, obviously. Forever, I'm not sure. I don't have those stats. I only looked back 10 years in my research because, the league changes over time. And it's just not so relevant what was happening 20 years ago. Maybe sometimes it could be relevant. Most of the time, the league is developing slowly over time, not so much drastic changes. So, week 15, 16, 17 matchups over the last 10 years, to me, are relevant. Before that, not so much. All right, so 35 is coming up in a couple picks. Let's see what we got here. Kyren Williams, he's not going to be there for me. If he is, I'm definitely snagging him. I could think about Igbuka. Neighbors is falling and falling and falling. And I'm not sure, people are worried about his second knee procedure or whatever. And, considering all the wide receivers they've been bringing in, I would say that, wow, guys, thank you. Thank you. All right. I'll take Kyren Williams 6 spots past ADP with the Rams' #1 offensive line. Thank you very much. Boom. Taking a quick peek here at what everyone else is doing. Josh Allen went pretty early, but you can't get this guy's trying to build himself a bill stack, which could be valid. Probably not, but it could be valid. The Bills are definitely a high-scoring, super powerful, potent offense, and Josh Allen has potential to put up a 50-burger any week. But the problem is with Josh Allen and trying to stack him up with all his weapons is he likes to really keep you guessing. He likes to spread the ball around. He likes to target different guys every week. So while DJ Moore probably is their best receiving option, I don't even think it's a guarantee that he is their #1 wide receiver all the time, every week. I think that, different weeks, Josh Allen is going to highlight different guys like he always does. I mean, it's been since what? Stephon Diggs is the last time Josh Allen really had a #1 wide receiver who he treated like that. And, he's had a lot of talented guys come through those doors, and none of them have emerged to be the far and away best. Okay. So Neighbors, do I snatch up Neighbors? I'm also a little bit scared about the Neighbors situation. Let's see what kind of, I don't love anyone here. You know what? Let's take Zay Flowers. We'll take Zay Flowers, and we will. Now we've got a little bit of Week 17 correlation with Chase Brown and Zay Flowers for that Week 17 matchup. So here's the thing. I don't know if I mentioned this at the beginning of this video. This is a $10 buy-in DraftKings tournament. This is one of my favorite tournaments on the whole site. I know everyone is interested in the Millionaire Maker. I am as well. Hopefully I can win that. But this tournament here is a $10 buy-in. It's 10 entry max, so it costs $100, $100 to max this out, right? And then if you make it to week 17, I forget how many people. I want to say there's 54 people who are in week 17, either 48 or 54, one of those. But it's a significant amount of people. If you make it to week 17 and you finish last, you make $500. So if you max this tournament out for $100, and then all it takes is one team to make it to week 17, and you can 5x your buy-in, your entire buy-in from this tournament. Of course, you want to finish much higher, and you could win $100,000 if you finish in first place in this, which is going to be a lot easier to do than it is to take down that Millionaire Maker contest. Now, of course, I still want to do it, and but I do plan on maxing this tournament out as well for 10. And this is kind of one of my insurance tournaments where I'm going to try to, I do this one, I'll do some $7 ones where, $5,000 is the most you can win back. But you have higher chances to win in those tournaments. So if you hammer out some of those, then, a couple of week 17 finishes, or maybe a top 10 finish in any of these tournaments, and you are all set. You are all set, and you are in the green, profiting for the year. Just like everyone else, I am most interested in winning that $3 million in the Millionaire Maker contest. But, I also understand that it is really, really hard. It's really hard even to make it to week 17 in that Millionaire contest. We're going to do our best, and I'm going to do everything I can do to give myself and you guys as many advantages as we could possibly have. And I'm telling you, I'm working on some big stuff. You guys are going to love the new stuff that I bring to the table for you this year. I mean, that's why my lights aren't on. That's why it's all dark in here, because I got bags under my eyes. I need to shave. I am not looking good right now. That's because I've been up all night, every night, working on these tools, ironing it out, giving us the best chance to win best ball this year and going forward. All right, so what's going on here? This guy has taken some big time, Kundal DKS, or Kunnel, he has taken some big time running back risks. Hampton is a talented player, but the Chargers have horrible offensive line issues. Love is just on a crappy team. I know he's a talented player. He hurdles too much. They also have a horrible offensive line. They're going to have problems getting the offensive going at all. Josh Jacobs, I'm not even sure what's going to happen with him. Maybe he will get some kind of appeal or push his case back enough to where it won't matter for this year. But I really do not think that Josh Jacobs is a good pick in the 4th round. I think no one else would have taken him for a couple more rounds because everyone else is aware of the news. That was just a bad pick. I'm not here to talk too much smack about other people. I'm more worried about my own team. But all right, so now we also have we've got the nice little correlation for week 17 with the Ravens and the Bengals. Now, who do the Rams? The Rams in week 17 play the Bucks. Okay, that's another nice matchup that we could target if we get some good values on some Buck players. That will interest me a little bit more than usual in this particular draft because of that week 17 correlation. The week 17 correlation is so important. I know that most of you guys are best ball veterans who've been playing best ball for years, and you know the importance of being aware of the playoff matchups, especially the week 17 matchups. But for you guys who might be a little bit newer at best ball, it is so important. It's so important to have correlation for week 17 if you have any hopes of winning these tournaments. Let's see. I like Tyler Warren. Can I get him 62? I probably can. I'm going to go ahead and take Price. I'm going to take Price. With Kenneth Walker going to the Chiefs, Charbonnet is not going to be able to handle the entire workload by himself. Plus, Jadarian Price might be better than Charbonnet, and Price could take the lead role at some point during the season. We'll find out how that works. I'm eyeing Tyler Warren right here with my next pick. I love Tyler Warren. This guy This guy's an incredible tight end. He is so much above everyone else who has not been drafted yet, including and Dalton Kincaid. I would argue that he is significantly better than Colston Loveland as well. The only issue there is talent alone. I think Warren is much better than Loveland. But Chicago has a little bit more of a well-oiled machine when it comes to their offense. Now, the Colts offense looked really good last year until Daniel Jones got hurt. So maybe that's not as big of a concern as I think it is. But I'll tell you right now, I love this click. I absolutely love this click. And, you know, this is not the first click in this draft that I've loved, which is a good sign. I love it. Love it when I can get good value on some guys that I was eyeing that I did not think were going to fall to me. Kyren Williams is a good example of this. I've taken him in the beginning of the third round in many drafts. To get him at the end of the third round is a steal. Listen, the Rams had the #1 offensive line, and they are still going to be one of the top offensive lines. All right. Kyren Williams, I mean, he's in store for another good season. We take a look here. He had 16 points a game last year, not too shabby. 17 touchdowns. That's what I'm talking about. 17 touchdowns. That's what happens when you have an awesome offensive line. You get in there in the red zone, just pound it in. How are they going to stop you? Can't. They can't stop you if your big maulers up front are just paving the way like it ain't no thing. All right. And now that we took Warren, let's just take a quick peek again at this playoff matchup chart, which you guys can get for free in the description. You're welcome. And this is not the end of it. This is just the very, you know, I knew that this tool, when I started this channel, this tool was an obvious one that I had to get out for you guys. I wish someone had made one of these for me in past year. I mean, I made them for myself in past years, but a lot of times I was doing it on paper with Post-it notes or on 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper, and I had all kinds of stuff around my station here so I could look at them when needed. But now this year, I made this sweet little tool, and you know, the advantages here are that the dome games are highlighted, and the dome games are huge because once we get to week 15, 16, and 17, it's cold outside. It's real cold outside. It becomes hard to put up big points unless you're in a dome or, you know, you're one of the most explosive offenses in the league, which, of course, you know, we want some pieces of that too. But those dome games, it is important to understand who's playing in week 17, and it is important to understand who's playing in the dome. That's why I made this for you guys. I made it for myself, really, but I'm sharing it with you guys as a token of my appreciation for watching my videos, for subscribing, for liking some videos, for helping me take this channel and accelerate it. All right, this is a brand new channel. I don't have that many subscribers yet. I do expect, especially as I keep pumping out these tools, giving you guys some advantages, and you know, of course, you're going to see me perform really well in best ball this year. Hopefully, last year wasn't great, but I still broke even in a not great year. The year before that was very profitable. And, you know, and I've been doing pretty well. I've been doing pretty well since the beginning of best ball. I've lost some buy-ins, especially towards the beginning there. First couple of years, I was definitely in the red, at least a few $100s every year for the first 2 years. But then, you know, I have really, so my experience as a process engineer in nanotechnology, I'm not sure if it's obvious how that translates, but it does translate. I'm extremely good at pattern recognition, at building tools, at thinking like an engineer, at giving myself an advantage. Okay, that's my real thing. You know, my real thing is I think differently. I have different thought processes. I just think like an engineer, which is like a weird, complicated way of thinking. But I'm going to simplify everything for you guys, and I'm going to give you guys some incredible tools. So stick around, do some drafts with me. Maybe I will drop your name in one of these videos. Hopefully it's because you did something good and not because you did something silly. But even if you did something silly, you know what? I've done such silly stuff a bunch of times, and I'm also sure that I've been featured in other people's videos, and they have been making fun of me. But you know what? It's all perspective. It's all perspective. You know, at times, you know, where's the guy that I was making fun of for taking all bills earlier? See, his team is actually coming along pretty well. I was making fun of him quick, but he He's not a complete bonehead, it doesn't seem like. Okay, so we got 2 picks coming up here. And we got plenty of quarterbacks left. Still want to stack up those running back. We need more wide receiver help. I'm going to take Mekhi Lemon. I'm a little bit concerned. That Hurts and his ability to throw across the middle of the field, but I think Mekhi Lemon is just so good that they're just going to have to target him. There's no way that they could avoid it. If Hurts has got to throw some interceptions across the middle to get him the ball, they just got to do it. Man. What do we want to do here? Oh, I'm running out of time. I'm gonna take Fannin. I'm gonna take Fannin and give myself a little bit more advantage at tight end. Tyler Warren and Harold Fannin should give me a real solid floor at tight end just about every week. Cleveland has questions at quarterback, but you know what? All 3 guys can play. So I'm not really worried if it's going to be Shedeur Sanders or if it's going to be Deshaun Watson or if it's going to be Taylon Green, who I do expect it to be by the end of the year. I expect it to be Taylon Green. And going forward into the future, I expect it to be Taylon Green. And if you haven't heard me say that before, you heard it now. And just remember, I'm the guy that told you that. Taylon Green is probably most likely, more than likely, the quarterback of the future for the Browns. And he is better than both Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders. Maybe he needs some polishing, but the raw tools are there, and they are going to take advantage of it. You kind of never know what to expect from the Browns quarterbacks. I mean, going back, all the way back to Baker Mayfield and before. But Taylon Green was a diamond in the rough. When I was scouting rookies, and I scouted rookies like crazy, and that's another area where I have a huge advantage over the field, and that's why you should watch to the end of my videos, because these guys that I've already taken so far, about all these guys already. But when we get towards the end of the draft, you're going to hear me talking about some rookies. You're going to hear me talking about some guys who were rookies last year who may have a little bit more opportunities this year. You're going to hear all the work. I did so much work in preparation for this channel. If it's not obvious, it will be obvious soon as I start releasing the tools, as you see me winning big time money. But I did so much research, and especially when it comes to the rookies, I did tons of research. And Taylon Green, the quarterback from the Browns, was a diamond in the rough quarterback that I identified. I knew he was going to go later in the draft, but I also knew that someone was going to get a steal. An absolute steal. He needs some polishing, but this guy is fast. He's got a cannon. He can throw the ball a mile, it seems like. He is no freaking joke. Watch the guy's tape from Arkansas. It is a very, very impressive. And he's the kind of guy that no one's talking about, but he's just going to come out of nowhere and be a fantasy stud probably the second half of this season. If not, maybe there is a chance it doesn't happen until next year. But I'm telling you, this guy is going to come along, and he is going to be a stud. As much as possible. I mean, he's on the Browns. But I'll tell you what, the Browns have some weapons now. They drafted Denzel Boston too. They drafted Casey Concepcion too. They already had Jerry Jeudy. They already had a couple of really good running backs. The Browns, they may have traded away Garrett, and that's going to hurt them on defense just a little bit. But the Browns offense, do not sleep on the Browns offense. I mean, they need to figure out the quarterback situation. But man, it's whoever gets that job, whoever is starting games for the Browns, life is going to be pretty easy for them just because of the weapons they have. They built up the offensive line a little bit too. And, I don't want these next couple picks to sneak up on me like my last ones did. So let's check out who's coming up at 107. George Kittle. I'm not loving George Kittle. We got some injured guys up here at the top. All right. Patrick Mahomes, I'm worried about. He tore his knee late in the season. Kittle, same thing, except it was his Achilles, which is even more worrying, more troublesome. Looking around, Wan'Dale Robinson is going to be a good pick. He's just going to get a lot of receptions. I like Manungai. Let's see here. Do I want to go down? no, let's just take Wan'Dale Robinson. Wan'Dale Robinson, he's going to, we don't have a whole lot of wide receivers right just yet. That's actually my fourth one in the top half of the draft. So I'm probably going to chill out on wide receivers for just a little bit and snatch up some rookies and some value players a little bit later. So, who do we want to grab here? We could. Quarterback is going to get thin if I don't start snatching some dudes up. I'm going to grab Baker Mayfield. I know that I will be able to stack him up with some of his preferred weapons later on in the draft. I know Igbuka already went, but he's got some. It's not just the Igbuka show over there in Tampa Bay. You know, they've also got that big rookie from Georgia State, Ted Hurst, who is a I don't want to call him Mike Evans clone, but he's big, he's strong. He reminds me a lot of Mike Evans, and he could be the guy. Tez Johnson was a rookie last year. Tez Johnson made some incredible catches last year. He didn't get to play quite as much as you would have liked him to, but you know what? Considering I was drafting him in the 20th round last year, and you can get him in the 20th round again this year, he provides more than enough value. He's going to have a few spike weeks. He's going to have at least a couple weeks with 2 touchdowns. He makes plays. Igbuka is going to get a lot of attention from the defenses, and Baker is just going to hit up Hurts and Tez Johnson. Both of those guys are valid. Okay. So, you always have to kind of see what's going on with the other teams as far as quarterbacks go. You know, the quarterback strategy is different amongst different drafters. So you'll see some different stuff going on. This guy took Josh Allen really high. Nobody else took any quarterbacks until the 5th round, which is more normal behavior. But then here, people started hammering the middle round quarterbacks a little bit earlier than usual. That's fine. This is definitely going to have to be a 3 quarterback team for me. I've got Baker, who is solid, but I can't rely on him every single week. I'm going to need a little bit more help there on a regular basis. A lot of times by the 10th round, I already have a quarterback or 2. So this is going to be a little bit different than some of my other builds. I really like to get Caleb Williams. I really like to get Jackson Dart. I would have liked Dak Prescott on this team, considering I had, who did I take? Lamb. I took Lamb. I couldn't remember if I took Lamb or Pickens. I took Lamb earlier. So I would have liked Dak Prescott. Let's see. So obviously Prescott is gone. Obviously Lamar is gone. Hurts should be gone, yep. And, okay, I've got Cam Ward available. Cam Ward is still there for me. Daniel Jones is still there for me to stack up with Tyler Warren. I could take a shot on one of the Cleveland quarterbacks. I don't love doing that. So we're going to have to improvise here just a little bit. Make sure we get some correlation for Week 17 and also some team correlation. You know, if Baker Mayfield is going to throw 3 touchdowns, somebody's going to catch those 3 touchdowns. So I want exposure to at least some of his weapons. But I also have to take into consideration the other quarterbacks that are still available and who I'm going to be able to stack them up with. We've got, let's see, Cam Ward and Daniel Jones. I'm probably going to have to take one of them with one of my next 2 picks because they're not going to make it back to me. And I would like to get at least one of those guys on my team. Quarterback is getting thin in this draft, and I do not like to leave myself thin at quarterback. That's an unfortunate position to be in. But, you know, you got to build your teams different. You got to do what you got to do. You got to take some shots on some different guys. And you never know. Sometimes my teams that I have not exactly been in love with have been some of my highest performing teams in the past. Not always. Usually I have a pretty good intuition for my teams that are going to do really well. So now the question is, do I wait until my second pick here to take Cam Ward or Daniel Jones and just take whoever doesn't get taken, or take my favorite guy out of the 2 if they do? Or do I just take them both? Do I take them both? Let's see who else. Let's see if we have anyone else here towards the top of ADP who I want to make sure I get on my team a little bit more. Not necessarily. It doesn't look like So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take Daniel Jones, match him up with Tyler Warren. If Cam Ward is still here, I might take him too. Oh man, let's look at my week 17. The Colts play the Browns, which I've got a little bit of Browns action going on, and the Titans. Who do the Titans have? Where's the Titans? Oh, I'm running out of time. I don't have time to look. Oh, 11. All right, let's just take them. Fuck it. All right. So now, looking back, I already did it, but let's just see here. Where's the Titans? Titans. Here we go. Oh, they got the Steelers. I do not love that game. All right, so we won't be stacking that game up. Maybe we'll work on the Titans stack a little bit more, but I'm not so interested in stacking up the Steelers. There's a couple of valid weapons on the Steelers, but not for this team. This team, the Steelers are not going to fit. 3 quarterbacks in a row. You won't see me doing that very often, but you know what? My quarterbacks are taken care of, and I'm also going to have, if I can sneak this team into the playoffs, I'll have some uniqueness probably. If this team makes it into the playoffs, it should have no problem at all advancing to week 16. Will it advance from week 16 to 17? I don't know about that. We'll see. But you know what? And also the success of the entire draft is really determined by these last handful of picks. So you can't make any rash decisions yet on how well this draft has come along. I've made some really good picks. I'm not feeling so great about quarterback, but my running backs are strong. My wide receiver base is strong, especially since I know, wait till you see what I pull off later on in this draft. Every draft, I'm pulling off highway robbery, just shaking everyone else down, just making fun of them from my seat. Like, you guys should have did a better job scouting rookies. You need to stop listening to Todd McShay and start watching film yourself. Because when you listen to Todd McShay, you only get to find out about the guys who are going to contribute to best, and they are going to contribute most likely, but you're going to find out about the first round guys. Todd McShay, Mel Kiper, Daniel Jeremiah, sure, they do full draft, mock drafts for the entire draft. But listen, they're not studying the deep guys. They're telling you constantly about the top guys. They constantly were telling you about Casey Concepcion. They were constantly telling you about Jordan Tyson. They were constantly telling you about Carnell Tate. Okay, that's fine. Everyone knows about those guys. There are plenty of other weapons that are going to be best ball monsters and absolutely destroy shit, shake up leagues, make people a lot of money. All right, and those are the guys you've got to know about. Everyone knows about these players in the first 12 rounds. And I've also heard some people saying that there's no one available after the first 12 rounds, which is sacrilegious. I mean, if you think that, you're just forfeit your money right now. I'll give you my Cash App, and you could just send all your buy-in money that you were going to spend to me, because you're going to lose it all anyways. At least let me use your cash to buy-ins for some tournaments to where I have a chance of winning. You know what I mean? Because I actually scouted the rookies. I scouted everyone, and it's really, what's the difference? What's the difference between an average guy like me or you and the sports books in Vegas? What's the difference between the winners of best ball and the average guy? I'll tell you what the difference is. The difference is advanced stats. They're not just looking at yards. They're not just looking at catches. They're looking at EPA. They're looking at average depth of reception, or target. I'm sorry. They're looking at all the advanced stats. That's the stuff that you really need to understand if you want to win. I mean, sure, you could get lucky without that kind of stuff, but let me tell you, that's what you need to know. And hang out in these drafts with me, because I will be giving you some tools. I will be supplying you with what you need. Now, do I take Charbonnet? You know what? Let's take Charbonnet and just pair him up with Price. And then we have the Seattle backfield, regardless of who is going to be running stuff. Now, I also have another guy who in mind already, Ooh, I love Denzel Boston, but Denzel Boston is actually, I have more exposure to Denzel Boston than any other wide receiver right now. So I need to consciously fade him just a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab me some Jonah Coleman, who is another perfect example of why you need to scout your own rookies. All right. You will hear a lot of professional analysts tell you that Jonah Coleman is not a great pick because he is the third running back on the depth chart in Denver. Okay. Okay. That's fine. All right. That's fine. But listen, I scouted Jonah Coleman. I watched all his games. I watched all his film. He is an incredibly talented player. And you know what? Last year, I did the same for RJ Harvey. So I have a very good understanding of both of these guys' abilities, talents, play style. And let me tell you right now, Jonah Coleman is a better running back for the NFL than RJ Harvey is. RJ Harvey might be faster. He might be a little bit more explosive. But first of all, he's got flaws. He's got flaws in his run style. I don't know how coaching has not fixed this. I guess it's maybe the kind of thing where, you know, he succeeded at the other levels. They don't want to change what has worked for him, what's got him here. But he has wasted movement on his running style. He lifts his knees too high, trying to get those explosive push-offs, which can be great. Explosive push-offs in unexpected directions can help you break some tackles. But he would be faster if he didn't do that. He would be slightly more agile if he didn't do that. He would be a little bit less explosive on his cuts, but he would be he would on average he would just cover more ground, you know, in the same amount of time. You know, however long he runs in 4 seconds, you know, he could have ran an extra 5 yards if his run style was more dialed in. Okay, and you know, who am I to tell you this? I already told you earlier that I was a process engineer in nanotechnology. How am I an expert on run style and run form? Well, I also used to be a personal trainer. I also used to be a team leader for special operations in the Army. Okay, I have trained many elite athletes, and I do know what I'm talking about from a training perspective as well. These are the unique advantages that I bring to the table, and why you guys should be following this channel, should be drafting along with me, should be picking my brain, okay? All right. Not only do I have engineer brain, but I've also been a high-level athletic trainer in the past. Okay. Very high level. I mean, some of the guys that I trained in the Army could just walk onto an NFL team instantly. Oh, including probably me when I was 25. Ooh, all right. Okay. $179 is coming right up. We do need to start addressing these wide receivers. And I like some of these guys. Calvin Ridley's got this cue, and I'm not sure what that cue is about. Leg is participating. He looks to be fine. Let's grab Calvin Ridley to further stack up Tennessee just a little bit. We've got Wan'Dale Robinson. We've got Cam Ward. And then he did fall to me, and I mentioned him earlier. I'm taking him significantly ahead of ADP, but he is worth it. And we're in the 16th round. So once you get to the 16th round, that's officially the spot where I stop addressing ADP at all. I could care less about ADP. I will take a guy in the same guy in the 16th round in some drafts that I take in the 19th round in other drafts. It really doesn't matter. You really have to kind of get an idea for what everyone else is going to do, and your own team. Your own team matters more than anything, you know. So I wanted to get some correlation with Baker Mayfield. So now I have at least a little bit of correlation with each of my quarterbacks. With Baker Mayfield, I not only do I have that Week 17 correlation, I know I talked about that earlier, but I forget who it was. Oh yeah, they play the Rams. So I have that Week 17 correlation with the Rams, with Kyren Williams. I've got Baker, I've got Hurst, and I'm probably, if I can get around to it, later on and I don't forget and there's not other value that I like more, I'm probably going to also take Tez Johnson, another weapon from the Bucks. Daniel Jones, I'm only working with Tyler Warren right now, but that is one of his top weapons. The only other one that I'm really interested in besides Jonathan Taylor is, Tyler Warren and Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce is a legit wide receiver. He went earlier to somebody else, whatever. I'm not going to cry over spilled milk. I don't give a shit, okay? I don't feel like I need Alec Pierce, but he is someone that I'd like to get with some Daniel Jones stacks. With Cam Ward, I have Wan'Dale Robinson, who's going to be his high volume wide receiver. I also have Calvin Ridley, who is going to make some big plays. We got 4 remaining picks. Where's the guy? Let's see. Where's... Where we go? Okay. Okay, here's the Dart Drafter right here. The Dart Drafter does not have any other Giants weapons. Maybe he's just relying on Jackson Dart's rushing upside, which he does have. That's a valid strategy to rely on, especially if you're going to stack up some other teams. And he does. It looks like he has some. He has a New Orleans stack going. He has a New England stack going. This guy's got a pretty solid team. So this might be one of the better teams in here. DraftKings Texas 58. Good job, bro. Drafting like you know what you're doing. For the and Jeremy Bernard is a nice rookie, and Antonio Williams too. So yeah, this guy's got a solid team. For sure. But he didn't take the guy I was worried about him taking. Because he had Jackson Dart, I thought he was going to go after Malachi Fields, who I don't care if I have Jackson Dart or not. I do want him on my team. Oh my gosh. The guy is huge. He reminds me of DK Metcalf. He's a giant. He can go up and get it. He can go deep. He can run all the routes. His tape from Virginia before Notre Dame, he played for Notre Dame last year, but Notre Dame had an incredible run game with Price and Love. And, they just didn't have to pass that much. So his tape was a little bit limited, but it was very impressive. And from before that, when he was in Virginia, it was, oh my gosh, it was incredible. It was incredible. And I love that I get to take him here. Sorry there, DraftKings Texas guy who has Jackson Dart. You were probably eyeing him. Let's see. And remember earlier when I was talking about the other guy who went heavy Bills and he took DJ Moore and he took Josh Allen, he took all those guys, and I was saying, well, who's to say that DJ Moore is going to be the number 1 wide receiver every week? I mean, Keon Coleman had some really good moments last year. He was not consistent throughout the entire year. That's for sure. He had a giant week 1. I think in week 1 he had like 30-something fantasy points. He did not ever reach that again. But he had some respectable weeks throughout the season. And in the 18th round, when you can get this guy, he had 28. I was wrong. It wasn't 30. So he had 28 points in that first week. He did not really contribute huge ever again. He had 13 points another week. But, a lot of these weeks, he has 7, 10 points. He's got a little bit of floor. He's going to keep you from ever taking a 0. Not that he every week, but, combined with some other guys, I'm never going to take a 0 in the wide receiver spot. And there's going to be a few weeks. I'm telling you, there's going to be a few weeks where Coleman is just a guy. He's the guy that's open. He's the guy that Josh Allen wants to target, whatever the case may be. It's just going to happen like that. So, I mean, what was a better pick? Keon Coleman in the 18th round or DJ Moore in the 3rd round? Now, I mean, DJ Moore's stats weren't that great last year either. I mean, obviously he wasn't playing with Josh Allen, but he was playing with Caleb Williams, who's a beast too. There's no reason why Caleb Williams couldn't get him the ball more than that. I mean, Luther Burden didn't have a hard time getting the ball. Roma Dunze didn't have a hard time getting the ball. I mean, what? I don't know. I don't love DJ Moore. A couple of years ago, I was higher on him, but not so much. We've got 2 picks left. 2 picks left, and let's just look over the team. We only have 2 tight ends. I probably want to grab another tight end with one of these last couple picks. And I might want to grab, I don't know if there's going to be any running backs that I even want. Let's see who's available for running backs and tight ends. I might just have to stop at running back here at 5. Probably should have got 6 on this team. But if my guys stay healthy, it'll be all good. And I'm not trying to draft in case of injuries. I'm trying to draft like I'm right, you know. 227. Another bright spot about Malachi Fields is that's a little bit of Week 17 correlation with CeeDee Lamb above, and I think I'm going to increase that correlation a little bit more with one of these next couple picks. I probably don't have to take him here in the 19th because I can get him with my next pick almost for sure. So let's look in here. Should I double down on the Giants here at the end for that Week 17 correlation? Maybe I should. So let's do it. Let's take Juju. That's not who I was talking about before. And then I'll take Theo Johnson, the other tight end, who is very talented. Oh, yeah. So now, let's look over this team just real quick. We started out with CeeDee Lamb. Took a couple of running backs, Chase Brown and Kyron Williams. 2 really talented running backs right there. I like Chase Brown a lot. He should do well regardless of if the Bengals are winning or losing. He catches a lot of passes, so even in when they're behind, he still gets targets. He still gets points. Kyron Williams, like I said, the Rams just have the very best offensive line. Now we have Zay Flowers here for a little bit of Week 17 correlation with Chase Brown. I think that might have been all I got from that game, but they do play against each other in Week 17. We've got Jadarian Price, who, you know, there's a good chance that he could beat out Charbonnet for the number 1 back in Seattle, but just in case he doesn't, we've got Charbonnet as well. Now, and also look how much earlier Price goes than Charbonnet. So obviously the rest of the field believes that Price is going to be the main feature back, or at least have the lion's share of the split in Seattle. I'm not so sure it's going to be like that. It's probably going to be closer to a 50-50 split, but I've got both guys, so hopefully they just take turns killing it every week. We got Tyler Warren, who is one of my favorite tight ends. I like him more than Kincaid. I like him more than Loveland. He's my number 3 tight end for this year. Hopefully it plays out that way. That'll be good for this team. I was able to pair him up with Daniel Jones later. I got Mekhi Lemon. Mekhi Lemon is an exciting rookie wide receiver that everybody knows about because he is one of those guys that Mel Kiper and Todd McShay were telling you about. He is really exciting. The one question mark is, considering he projects to play a lot out of the slot, is Hurts going to be able to get him the ball over the middle? I think that they're going to take some chances on it. Plus, you know, he can run some other routes. He doesn't have to do slants across the middle every time out of the slot. You know, he can do some go routes. He can do some out routes. He can do some posts. He can do all kinds of routes. All right. So, you know, hopefully he contributes enough to be worth a 7th round pick. Harold Fannin Jr. had a real nice rookie season. He kind of came out of nowhere, had some nice spike weeks, 19, 28, 18. You know, and look at this. He didn't score. He had 1 week with 4, 2 weeks with 4 points. But I mean, he had a solid fantasy output every single week last year for the most part, and you gotta love him. Wan'Dale Robinson, I believe he had over 100 receptions last year for the Giants, and Dayball, who was the head coach of the Giants, is now the offensive coordinator for the Titans. And I expect him to get Wan'Dale Robinson involved a lot. He's going to be a high reception guy. He's going to be a safety valve for Cam Ward quite often, who I do also have in this draft. So every time Wan'Dale Robinson catches a touchdown pass, it's going to be thrown by Cam Ward. We got these 3 quarterbacks who I was just talking about. Cam Ward also have Baker Mayfield and Daniel Jones. Maybe not the highest ceiling, but you know what? We've got 3 solid starters, and hopefully they can do enough to squeeze me in, and hopefully my late round wide receivers and Jonah Coleman right here could be an extremely high value pick if he contributes to the Broncos anywhere near what I expect him to contribute. This is going to be an absolute smash hit. Jonah Coleman, when I watch his tape, he really reminds me of beast mode Marshawn Lynch. Some of you young guys might not remember Marshawn Lynch. If you don't, look up his highlights real quick. Dude was a monster for the Seahawks, okay? Jonah Coleman has a very similar play style to Marshawn Lynch, except Coleman has better hands. He's got softer hands, and he can be used in more ways. He is a bulldozer. He's going to run through you. He doesn't care if you're a 6'5" defensive end. He's still going to run through you. Jonah Coleman is a monster. He has great balance as he's getting hit, and his body gets in distorted positions, and he's not exactly in perfect form anymore. He has incredible proprioception, his understanding of where his body is in space. He bounces off those tackles like it ain't no thing. Calvin Ridley's a little bit older. He's a little bit riskier. But, if he can kind of have a bounce back, he had 1 week with 21 points last week. Hopefully the Tennessee offense is just a little bit better this year, and Cam Ward's year too. Calvin Ridley is a really talented player. He's shown it for long enough to justify being taken in the 15th round. I did know when I took him, it was a little bit of a shot. If I didn't have Cam Ward on this team, I wouldn't have taken him. I would have taken someone else. I wouldn't have taken either one of these guys that this guy took right after me, Tyreek Hill and Deebo Samuel, who neither one of them guys are even on a team, but maybe they will be, possibly, but they better get on a team soon. They better get on a team soon. When you join a new team, especially, well, I guess for just about all positions, but wide receivers particularly, you join a new team, and sure, everyone is running the same plays, but they're not calling it the same thing. People drink milk in China too, but they don't call it milk. They call it whatever you call milk in China, in Chinese. You know what I mean? So it's just like that with these NFL teams. If these guys don't get on a team pretty soon, it doesn't matter. Yeah, sure, they know what a slant route is. They know what a curl route is. They know that stuff. But do they speak Chinese? Do they speak do they speak German? Every NFL team has different lingo, different language, different terminology, and that mental aspect can really hold you back. So you need to be with your new team well before training camp if you want to have a good understanding of the playbook, if you want to be utilized in all ways possible. Okay. Now, anyways, so we have Ted Hurst and Malachi Fields with the next 2 picks. Those are 2 of my absolute favorite skyscraper rookies that I probably expect a little bit more out of Malachi Fields, but you know what? It could go either way. Both of these guys are huge. Both of these guys have quality quarterbacks throwing the ball. Both of them can go up and get it. Both of them can high point the ball. Both of them have great hands. Both of them have good route running ability. These guys were steals in the draft. I believe they were Ted Hurst. I think Ted Hurst went in the 3rd round. Malachi Fields definitely went in the 3rd round. Those guys are solid rookies that not many people are talking about. And it all starts, again, with Todd McShay and Mel Kiper Jr. and Daniel Jeremiah and these guys. They just weren't on the list. They weren't on the short list of wide receivers that those guys were telling you about. But I'll tell you what, in a different year with, where a more, this year, more wide receivers were taken in the top 3 rounds than any year that I can remember in my 30 years of studying the NFL draft. Okay, in almost any other year, Malachi Fields and Ted Hurst would have been 2nd round picks, possibly even 1st round picks. These guys are incredibly talented players. It was just the depth. It was just the depth at the wide receiver position in the draft which caused these guys to fall a little bit further. Keon Coleman was out of Florida a couple years ago. Keon Coleman, I really liked him when he was coming out. I think that, you know, he had a couple of issues last year. I think he was late for a couple of meetings. He got punished. And that was the main reason why he didn't contribute as much as he did in that week 1 game for the rest of the season. It was kind of like he was in the doghouse. He was on the shit list. And, you know, they only used him when they really absolutely needed him. And hopefully his relationship with Josh Allen is a little bit better this year, and he has a little bit of a better year. Juju Smith-Schuster was on the Chiefs last year. And I kind of, you know, I almost forgot about Juju, but the Giants signed him not that long ago. And after the Giants signed him, I went out of my way to look at his tape from last year just to see what he's got left in the tank. And I do think that Juju Smith-Schuster has plenty left in the tank. I think that he is a solid possession wide receiver. I think that he is probably better than Darius Slayton. I think he projects to have a better year than Darius Slayton. I could have taken Darius Slayton here. I could have taken any wide receiver from a lot of different teams. I decided to focus on that Week 17 matchup that I have with the Cowboys. I took CeeDee Lamb in the first round, so I wanted to stack up some Giants. I didn't get Jackson Dart, but I did get Malachi Fields. I did get Theo Johnson. I did get Juju Smith-Schuster. So those are, if you know, say in Week 17. Malachi Fields, you know, these 3 guys combined for 3 touchdowns, and CeeDee Lamb has 2 or 3 touchdowns himself. I mean, that could blow it open. The only issue with that is there will probably be someone else in Week 17 who also has those guys, but they have Dak or they have Jackson Dart to pair with them. So the only way that this could be optimal, well, not the only way, there's a couple ways it could be optimal, but, you know, what could happen is these specific guys who I took for that Week 17 matchup have a big game. Jackson Dart and Dak Prescott both, you know, maybe they have a couple of turnovers, and I'm keeping their weekly ceiling a little bit lower. And then also Baker, Daniel, or Cam Ward has a huge week in Week 17, and that could make this lineup optimal and win me $100,000. You know what? Scale 1 to 10. This isn't my favorite draft. I'd probably put this at like a 6 or a 7. But like I was saying earlier, sometimes it's not your favorite drafts that do the best. There is more than a decent chance that some of these guys, especially some of these late round rookies that I picked, could absolutely smash and be difference makers. And, you know, maybe that's all she wrote. Maybe that's all she wrote. All right, one more time. See you guys later. This is Terrence from Draft Theory. I hope you had a good time. If you enjoyed this draft, if you took anything away, if you learned a little bit, like this video, subscribe to the channel, come back, check out a bunch more drafts, iron out your theory, your strategy, and take down one of these big prizes.